The depth and the competition up on the offensive line is one that I think Oklahoma fans should be most excited about going into this season, because that has been the biggest adjustment, the biggest improvement from last season into this season. Again, it's hard to really compare it to last season. It really is, because there are other factors that go into it, but it's also, do you really want to compare it to the worst that this offensive line or this offense as a whole has been in such a long time? But I do think it tells you that the fact that there is no way of comparing the two because they're so vastly different is a good thing in many ways. The fact that there aren't direct comparables and you can compare in that way, that if that makes any sense, that's where I find a good thing, because last season we didn't see the depth, we didn't see the competition that we're starting to see in fall camp this season, or maybe not necessarily see for many of us as fans, but definitely hearing both from the coaches and the media. So that's something that Bill Bedenbaugh expressed quite a bit when he was talking to the media here this week, and talking about how much more experience and depth there is this season compared to last season. And he feels that. He sees that. He feels really good about where Oklahoma's at and that offensive line is at with the depth and competition that they bring in. And Bill Bedenbaugh was even talking about how six to seven guys that he feels could really win, and they could really get themselves into a really good spot for a starting position or a lot of playing time right now. But obviously really still early in camp, even though we're only just over 2 weeks away from game time. And so, there's definitely something to look at there with Bill Bedenbaugh and how he feels about how deep this offensive line is, and how much he feels that they've improved since last season, which is something that Oklahoma fans need to hear and want to hear, especially from that offensive line, as I have mentioned several times, is the biggest concern for Oklahoma fans going into this upcoming season. And as far as that depth and competition, Bill Bedenbaugh even mentioned how he really stresses the importance of really pushing through the mid-camp. You start to get into kind of a lull once you get midway through fall camp, and you start to get to that point where you're just ready for the season to come. If everything feels too repetitive, and it feels like you're not really working towards something, at times you can get that feeling. Players can get that feeling when they're going through camp, and he's really worried about them getting that. And he thinks that that's something that kind of happened last season, where he's really pushing and expressing his importance and stressing that on the players not to get into that mid-camp lull where I know we're in that point where it feels repetitive and boring, but we're getting there, guys. We are getting there. So absolutely. It's absolutely something that you want to hear from Bill Bedenbaugh is stressing, pushing to that game one, to that week one. Bill Bedenbaugh even kind of expressed a little bit about working with the staff, working with everybody who's on this offensive staff. It is quite a bit of a different staff overall, and there's a lot of new pieces to this offensive staff. And he talked about working with Ben Arbuckle and kind of comparing him to a young Lincoln Riley, which some Oklahoma fans might not like to hear. But if you take a young Lincoln Riley and what he was for Oklahoma as offensive coordinator, that's a good comp. That's a pretty good comp to be having. He's Bill Bedenbaugh kind of talked about Ben Arbuckle being kind of that smart, very commanding, but also adaptable, kind of a relatable guy, and then also great collaboration on different protections and run schemes. So that's something that he mentioned with Ben Arbuckle. A lot of high praise over there on Ben Arbuckle, as well as Kevin Wilson, bringing him back into the fold over to Oklahoma. It's been several years since Kevin Wilson has worked with Oklahoma, but being an analyst, Bill Bedenbaugh kind of talked about him because he brings a deep offensive knowledge. Kevin Wilson does. He has multiple position experience, and offensive line being one of them, which is really helpful for Bill B and what he's able to put into his guys there on the offensive line. And obviously, Kevin Wilson has had a successful track record. When you go into his specific breaking down and thinking of him as a coordinator, I didn't hate him when he was at Indiana. I liked him. I was cheering for him at Indiana. Of course, whenever he went over to Ohio State, I wasn't cheering for him as much because that's another big program. You don't want to root for the big guys. But I think Kevin Wilson, he's had a lot of success in his career. Maybe not so much as a head coach, but as a position coach and as an offensive coordinator, and breaking down. I think this analyst role is really good, and I know Bill Bedenbaugh expressed that when talking to the media earlier this week as well. Um, even going on and talking about John Mateer. He talked about John Mateer being one of the new guys in the system, and talked about how John Mateer has been active in the offensive line meetings and talked about his leadership. Bill Bedenbaugh praised him for his kind of charisma and how he's able to motivate the offensive line to perform, which is absolutely something that you want from your quarterback. And the fact that your offensive line coach is taking notice of that and mentioning that to the media is some good things to hear from your new field general, your new quarterback, and coming from him. And then, of course, another piece that kind of adds to this team as a whole, maybe not necessarily in the coaching staff or on the offense, but Jim Nagy. Bill B even talked a little bit about how much he provides kind of very valuable evaluations and talking about that and kind of freeing coaches to kind of focus on coaching and recruiting and the way that it used to be rather than having to pay attention to all this outside noise with the transfer portal and the NIL and all that stuff, and how Jim Nagy, I mean, that is the biggest part of his role, is how he is able to allow coaches to be coaches again, allow coaches to focus on their jobs as head coaches, offensive coordinators, position coaches, outside of having to do all of the extra work that it comes with in this day and age. So some really good things that I think we heard from Bill Bedenbaugh whenever he came to the media this week. Last thing is really just the overall offensive line progress. Kind of talking about how he's never satisfied as a coach. I think that was one thing that I took from his time with the media, and how he's never satisfied. He's always striving for better. Even after winning the Joe Moore Award just a few seasons ago, he feels good about the progress that they make, but he demands it to be continued, and he commands for constant improvement in his room. And he believes that they have everything that they need in order to succeed and keep on seeing that growth. And if that growth keeps on continuing, he really sees a special thing out of this group. Again, a group that is pretty young overall. You've got some young guys, maybe not young guys that are going to be starting this season, but you've got young guys that will carry over into the seasons to come and could be doing a lot of big things. So yeah, very excited here. And I loved what I was able to hear from Bill Bedenbaugh. And of course, there was other players as well, but Bill Bedenbaugh, Coach B, that was the one that I really took a lot from, being able to listen to him. I love listening to the coaches, love hearing what they have to say about what they're seeing in practices, what they're seeing from specific players, from their specific group of guys, and it's always enlightening. I think that's the most that you get, especially from guys that are honest with you and honest with the media. Guys like Bill Bedenbaugh that are not afraid to tell you, hey, I love what I'm seeing out of so-and-so, but I also think that we can improve. And here's some improvements that he can make. And that's what you get from Coach Bill Bedenbaugh all the time, as well as I think Brent Venables is another guy that's very, very much like that. And I think he tries to instill that in his guys and his coaches as well. But guys, that's all I've got for you tonight. I appreciate everybody so much for tuning in. Of course, make sure to hit that like button. That's a quick and easy, free way to help support the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Follow us on social media, the Voice of College Football, and as well as Oklahoma, the Voice of College Football. This channel specifically over on social media as well, trying to give out as much content as we can, keep you guys up to date, as well as kind of giving a little bit more of a fun, laid-back way of delivering the news as well, and kind of being interactive. But if you'd like to help support the channel a little bit further, please click that link down in the description below and become a member today for as low as $2.99 a month. It's a great way to help support this channel as we keep on trying new things and trying to keep on growing. Again, it's a very cheap, very easy way to help support this channel. It goes 3 different tiers, and we're going to try to give extra content for those who become a member. So please consider doing that today to help support the channel a little bit further. And of course, like I said, that's all we've got. But I appreciate everybody for tuning in, for all the support, all the love. Again, we'll catch you next time. Boomer.